Thank you so much. The story I'm going to share today comes from a colleague of mine. He's originally from a small town in Ohio. We were just hanging out at the office one day, and he was scrolling through Facebook, back when I still had an account, and he asked me, "Hey, do you work for that horror channel?" I said, "Yeah, have you heard of it?" He replied, "Yeah, I used to listen a long time ago. So, how do you guys operate?" I explained our process to him. Then he got quiet and said, "I have a short personal story. If you want, I can tell you. Since we're just chatting, I guess I can share it." I said, "Absolutely. Please, go ahead." He told me about a girl who lived next door in his hometown. Let's call her Emily. I'm going to tell Emily's story exactly how my colleague told it to me. They grew up together since childhood. Neighbors, playmates, went to the same school, but when they hit their teenage years, their paths separated. Emily moved out of Ohio to study at NYU in New York City. About a month or two after she left, he got news from home that Emily had suddenly fallen critically ill. He found it strange. He thought, "She's my friend. What kind of problem is this? How did it happen so fast?" He tried asking her family, but no one could give a clear answer. So during the Thanksgiving break, he went back to his hometown to visit her. What he saw shocked him. Emily was unrecognizable. She was skeletal, just skin and bones. She was acting completely insane. She didn't recognize anyone, she was aggressive, and the tone of her voice, it was just wrong. It wasn't her. He started asking around the neighborhood and questioning her family. Eventually, he pieced together what happened about 2 months prior. There was an elderly woman who lived right next to their house. She'd been there for years, but was rarely seen. Suddenly, one day, Emily bumped into her. The woman was unusually friendly and invited her over, saying, "You've lived next door for so long, but you never visit. Come have lunch with me." Emily, being polite, agreed. She went to the old woman's house. The woman told her, "Sit down. I have some work to finish. I'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes." Left alone, Emily started exploring. She had never been inside this house before. Everything seemed normal until she checked the washroom. Tied to the ventilation window, she saw a strange red velvet pouch. She brushed it off and walked into the next room. There she found a small, broken, antique mirror. She stepped in front of it to fix her hair, but she froze. She couldn't see herself. She could clearly see the wall behind her, the ceiling, the furniture, but her own face was missing from the reflection. Confused and terrified, she picked up the mirror to look closer. Suddenly, the old woman stormed in. Seeing the mirror in Emily's hand, she flew into a rage and slapped Emily hard across the face. "Why did you touch that? I invited you for lunch, not to snoop through my things. You have no permission." Shocked and humiliated, Emily ran out of the house without saying a word. About a week later, that old woman vanished. Her house was locked up and no one saw her again. About a week later, the changes began. Emily started forgetting her parents. She would look at them and scream, "Who are you people? Where are my mom and dad?" She would cry for hours, begging these strangers to find her parents. They took her to doctors. All the tests came back normal, but physically, she was rotting away. Her jawline seemed to collapse, her cheeks sunken in. Dark circles formed under her eyes. Then her hair started falling out. If you touched her head, a fistful of hair would come out in your hand like she was suffering from a severe chemical reaction. They even took her to specialists in the city, but they found nothing. Finally, during that Thanksgiving break, the family called in a spiritual medium. He suspected something paranormal. He called in his mentor, a renowned demonologist. The demonologist said, "Give me 7 days, I will try to fix this." After 7 days of treatment, he sat Emily down and recited some prayers. Slowly, she seemed to snap out of it. She looked at her father and said, "Dad, I've been looking for you. Where were you?" The demonologist then asked her, "Emily, listen to me. Did you have a dream about a mirror? Did you see a reflection where you had no body?" Emily whispered, "Yes, I saw a broken mirror." "Did you open a red pouch in that dream?"
She nodded. Yes, inside, I found nails and teeth. A few nights later, chaos erupted. It was midnight. A terrifying scream echoed through the neighborhood. Emily's parents rushed to her room. It was empty, even though the door was locked from the inside. They ran outside and found her high up in a large oak tree in the yard. She was perched on the branch, screaming in a distorted voice, "I pulled the tooth! She won't come back! I pulled the tooth!" Neighbors helped get her down. The younger medium tried to blow some holy breath on her to calm her. Immediately, Emily sat up and slapped him with inhuman force. The slap was so hard that two of the medium's teeth flew out of his mouth, blood spilling everywhere. Emily laughed maniacally. "See? I told you I got the teeth!" The next day, the demonologist returned and tried everything, using holy water, reciting verses, but nothing worked. That night, while everyone was standing just outside her room, a demonic voice screamed from inside, "I am leaving! You couldn't stop me!" Then a loud crash. The locked door had been broken open by sheer force. When they rushed in, they found Emily hanging from the ceiling fan. She had used her own scarf. They cut her down and rushed her to the ER, but she was already gone. After the funeral, the demonologist revealed the truth to her father. He said, "That old woman, she practiced dark arts. 30 years ago, her husband was killed by a young woman using witchcraft. Since then, she held a grudge. She targeted 18-year-old girls. He explained that the mirror was a trap. It captured the soul of anyone who looked into it. The red pouch with nails and teeth was the binding spell. He told them when Emily left that house, the old woman smashed that mirror with a brick. The moment that mirror broke, your daughter's soul was shattered with it. We brought her memory back for a moment, but she was already too far gone." And that is the story my colleague shared with me. It's a tragic reminder of how quickly a life can be destroyed by the unknown.
So Ryan shared this story with me, and I'm going to tell it exactly how he told it. The story is basically about my aunt's family, mostly my aunt. If I talk about the location a bit, actually, even if I don't get too specific, let's just say it's a well-known neighborhood in Chicago. My uncle works a government job, let's say about 2 or 3 years ago from now. Since he works for the state, he lives in state housing. Okay, I said it. So while living in those quarters, centered around that housing unit, this incident happened. It's a bit different. If I start from the beginning, it kicked off about 2 or 3 years ago with my aunt. Both my aunt and uncle slowly started to feel this, like when they were sleeping at night or when the house was dead quiet, some weird stuff would happen. Like, first off, aunt felt that the house seemed kinda hot. I mean, the vibe in the house was just unnatural. Sometimes suddenly, out of nowhere, it would just get hot. This was the first sign they noticed, and later on, aunt feels, mainly it started with her, like I said. She felt like someone was watching her from behind the curtains or just observing her. So the first incident starts right there. She got this fear in her mind. She told my uncle about it. Uncle at first was probably like, it's a hallucination or something like that. From the get-go, he didn't really believe in this supernatural stuff. He likes to explain everything with science or logic. So initially, just brushing it off, he said, "Take some meds, maybe you aren't sleeping well. If you catch some sleep, maybe this will get fixed." So a few days went by like this, but the thing didn't stop. Later, my younger cousin, let's call him Aaron. So one day he was coming back from evening practice. Right around dusk he was coming back. So at that time, he sees that, the roads are usually empty in the housing complex. There isn't much of a crowd. So he comes up the driveway and rings the doorbell a bunch of times, but no one was opening the door. So when it finally opens, he sees his mom, meaning my aunt. She opens the door with her hoodie pulled up over her head, opens it, and just books it inside the room really fast. So he's a bit surprised, like, what's the deal? Mom opened the door. She usually talks a bit, says something, then goes slowly. Why did she bolt like that? So he goes in, and he finds his mom sitting on the bed looking at her phone, just normally talking on the phone. So he asks, "Mom, why did you open the door and run off like that?"
Then Aunt is like, "When? I didn't open the door. You just got here? I have no clue." So then he gets a shock like, "Then who did I just see?" He gets a little freaked out. So he tells his mom about it. Mom then, his aunt too, my aunt too, when she hears that, who opened the door instead of me? They start thinking about it, and that night everyone discusses that, okay, something weird happened. So the very next day at home, on the dining table, a glass, normally glasses sit on the table, right? So at night, I don't remember the exact time, but exactly as she told me, a glass tumbler, suddenly at night, there was this sound of glass shattering. And they go and see that the glass automatically, usually glasses stay in the middle or safe spots, so there was no chance for it to just fall, and it wasn't like an earthquake or anything, but suddenly the glass just fell and broke. So this was the first physical incident. After that, a bunch of small things started happening, like oil bottles falling over, food dropping, and from these things they observed one weird detail. Whatever fell, it fell facing the west. The west side towards the wall in the west. If a room is square, things could fall anywhere, but they noticed it would go near that west wall and drop. They observed this for a bit. So later, they came to the countryside. Our family home is in Kentucky. Coming to Kentucky, they talked to Aaron's grandpa. Grandpa suggested a type of local psychic. At first he suggested a psychic, but since Uncle is a total science guy, he didn't really buy it. But after returning to Chicago, he brought 1 or 2 mediums to the house. So the first medium comes over and says, yeah, there's a bit of a problem. He did some rituals, basically recited some prayers and gave some holy water. So they kept doing that, and for a few days it seemed like the incidents chilled out a bit, but it didn't go away completely. Later, the stuff started up again, and when they tried calling that medium, the guy just ghosted them. Couldn't be reached. That's the story of the first guy. After searching more, they brought 1 or 2 other people. They came to the house. Actually, for the first few days, they would bind the house. Even after binding, for some reason, we who know these stories know that if a house is bound, this stuff shouldn't happen. But even after they bound it, maybe a week was fine, but after a week, things would happen that they couldn't even imagine. For example, at night, especially when my aunt was sleeping, one day this thing happened where it must have been the middle of the night. Everyone was asleep. She felt that near her head, on the right side or towards the back, she felt this heat, like when someone stands right next to you. Usually if the fan stops, it feels hot, a gap is created. It feels like no air is moving, just heat. So she felt this heat and felt like someone was stroking her head, just stroked it once. She woke up instantly, opened her eyes, no one there. She immediately got up and checked the other rooms, saw Aaron and everyone sound asleep. She got super scared. Later, she spoke up, and for the last time, they brought in another healer. This guy comes in, talks to everyone about what's going on, and straight up says, in your house, basically on the whole family, a voodoo hex has been placed, basically sending an entity. Simply put, some bad person or whoever sent this thing, and their job is mainly to cripple you guys. Giving you diseases, harming you in different ways, just destroying your life completely.
This matched perfectly with what they were going through. My aunt had been sick for ages. My uncle was sick. Someone was always sick in that house, even now. So they realized this was real. Then the healer said to search the house to see if any amulet or weird object could be found. So they tore the house apart searching. They found some stuff inside the wardrobe drawers. They showed it to the healer. Weird writing on paper, small cloths tied up with thread, stuff like that. They found a bunch of it. After showing this to the healer, he looked at it and told them to recite some prayers and told them to do one thing: use sage. Those of us from the countryside know burning sage is a common practice, so he said every day after evening to burn some sage. So they did that for about a week. But the problem wasn't solved at all. So then they called the healer, hey, nothing's changing, no improvement. Then the healer picked up the phone for the first time. At first he said, this is actually out of my league. Some very, very nasty black magic has been done here. So since then, whenever they called, they were doing the rituals, burning sage daily, praying daily, but nothing was solved. It kept dragging on.
Almost 3 or 4 healers were brought in. They looked, treated for a day or two, but no use. And later, they couldn't be reached. Doctors were always in the picture. It was like someone's sick, someone's fine. Constant cycle. Someone had a serious issue, needed surgery. They even went to the Mayo Clinic, showed doctors there too. Everyone. But they saw that no one had a major medical issue that would explain why they were so sick. Treatment continued. Sometimes they'd be fine for 6 months, then sick for 6 months. So after treating like this, when they came back to the country, hometown, they were fairly okay physically, but the house, that abnormal vibe was still there. They couldn't figure out how to get free from it. Almost 2 years passed like this. Sick, no improvement, family life, finances, everything was just off, like paused. So recently, in 2024-25, family-wise, we went to someone who handles this stuff. I mean, the guy I mentioned earlier. So they went there. Here's a little twist. They came to Kentucky. I mean, after showing doctors in Chicago, treating at Mayo Clinic, they were healthy and spent a lot of money. They were good for about 3 months, no incident. But after coming to Kentucky, they rented a new house. Let me explain why. Since he has a government job, postings happen in different counties. So during posting, moving stuff is a hassle. So he had to shift to this county, then that county. So basically, they moved their stuff again. They came from Chicago and started living there. Just a few days later, my aunt got sick again like before. And the hospitals in Kentucky, treatment was done, but nothing worked. Doctors referred her back to Chicago. I was with them. They could never understand what was happening, running tests, doctors consulting, sitting in meetings, but no solution, nothing found. Later, she was brought to Chicago in an ambulance, emergency. I was there. I remember now. She was admitted to a hospital. We treated her for 2 months, got somewhat healthy, and because of this sickness, family-wise, I mean, we all sat down, like, what can we do? Who did this? We still didn't know because there was no solution, so we decided that place I suggested before, it had slipped their minds. I said, I recovered there, let's go check it out. He's a bit of a psychic type. Even though he follows religion, there's some stuff that we don't fully get. His way is a bit different. So we went there, and some things happened. First, he brings my aunt, makes her sit in front, recites some prayers, asks her, what's happening? What's the problem? Hearing everything, he actually does a test to see if there's really an entity or something else. How he does this? I heard it from my cousin, and I was there too. He makes her sit, lights some candles around, incense sticks burning, makes the room dim, like a dim light, a night light. So in that dim darkness, he asks questions and tells Aunt, give me your hand. He takes a scarf that Aunt liked the most, or used for a long time. He told us to bring it. He folded that scarf 3 times. Reading some incantations, he folded it and put it in Aunt's hand, told her to make a fist, grip it tight. And every now and then, he was reading and blowing on the hand 3 times, telling Aunt, you blow 7 times. After doing this cycle 3 or 4 times, Aunt starts feeling inside her hand this heat, like burning up. At one point, Aunt couldn't take it anymore and said, I can't hold it. She let go, and as soon as she did, we saw that the folded cloth, it was on fire, like smoldering, red smoke coming out. I mean, even before she let go, we saw white smoke seeping out from her fist. I was there. Everyone was there. Uncle, being the science guy, first thought. Later, he tried to explain how the fire started or how the scarf got burnt. He couldn't figure it out. We thought scientifically, maybe a chemical was used. But he would have done that before, and the scarf was hers. He didn't put anything on her hand, just gave the scarf and blew on it. And we saw the part inside the fist was mostly burnt. Then he commented, your life is basically over. Everything is near the end. Why didn't you come sooner?" Everyone was stunned. What did he say? He wasn't done yet. He said someone from within the family did it. And not now. This was done almost 9 years ago, and for it to kick in, it took 7 years. Long game. But they got no signs. For 3 years this has been happening, and at the very last stage, they came for help. So he gave some instructions. That sage thing I mentioned, gave some prayers for evening, said to pray daily. Along with that, after evening, burn sage made from coconut husk in the whole house, especially in Chicago, and keep an incense stick and a candle burning in the corner until it burns out itself. Don't blow it out. And gave some other stuff like herbal mixture, recited over turmeric, the raw stuff used in weddings, said to apply that on the body an hour before showering, and some black seeds to chew and swallow or spit out, stuff like that. And forbade some things, like for 40 days burning the sage, keeping the fire lit. Along with that, forbade eating red meat, shellfish, and banned one thing for life: venison, never again. That's one thing. And said another thing regarding the scarf, the one that caught fire. Take that scarf after 11 p.m. to a crossroads, find a place, and burn it so that no ash remains, completely burnt. My cousin and I did this ourselves right here in Kentucky, so it's kind of becoming a Kentucky story. We burned the scarf. And another thing, we probably know the hawthorn tree. It has these big thorns on the body. Told us to cut 3 thorns, keep them intact. I took them from a place in Kentucky. He recited over them, put them in an amulet for her waist, and said this treatment goes for 40 days. Come back after 40 days, it'll slowly be solved, God willing. Told them to pray. So now they're in this 40-day period. Praying, home rituals are on, and I'm in Chicago. These events are still ongoing, paused for now, somewhat solved. Don't know if God will fix it or how long it'll go. So everyone pray. And what exactly is happening? The problem hasn't been fully identified. The problem is basically these entities paralyze people. The last medium said the same thing. Paralyzes you, doesn't let your income or life upgrade. No improvement. So Ryan bro, this was the event that happened to me or my family. If this gets solved, God willing,